As a manager making dialysing fluid, what are the questions you need to ask about the potential areas that now follow? You have a patient. You have a family around the patient. You have those treating the patient. What are the questions as operations manager who is going to make this fluid that come to your mind in terms of thinking through your role? It's now time for you to work within your small group, thinking through the questions you need to think up in order to carry out the role of operations manager responsible for manufacturing kidney dialysis solutions. The next set of questions is the actual technology, the dialysing equipment. Are there useful questions you can raise in your own mind to get you thinking to improve your role or improve the product and processes you do to make the dialysing solution? Another question is, you're going to have to make the material. What particular equipment and processes do you need to think about in terms of manufacturing the solution? There's an actual manufacturing process. You're also going to need people to do the job, both those on the manufacturing floor and those who work around those people making it. Are there useful questions you need to ask about your staff? In order to make these solutions, you need to have inputs, various chemicals, fluid, what have you. Are there useful questions for you to ask in relation to the inputs you need to do the actual manufacturing? Then, are there questions to ask about, once you've made the fluid, what's going to happen next? Where do you keep it, for instance? So what are the questions post-production that need to come to mind? Are there also questions to ask? You do it wherever you happen to do it, and the patient happens to be wherever they happen to be. The fluid needs to move from A to B in order to be used. Are there useful questions around that particular end of the whole process? Critically, you're the manager. You have to make this material. How will you do your thinking about working this out? By recipe? Pick up a recipe and do it, or do you think very clearly and incisively about the particular situation you're in and the particular product? Your thinking skills are the critical part. So what are the questions you need to ask in order to think about? How will you know that they're useful, insightful questions to help you plan and operate the process of manufacturing the kidney dialysing fluid? You'll also need information in order to answer your questions. Where will you start to find the particular information you need to answer the questions you have to plan out and operate the operations needed to do this particular job? As background to this particular process, don't underestimate the assumptions you bring in as operations manager in terms of how you plan the process and how you go about setting up operations. Is this a case of it's all about the profit, or do you actually believe in the role and the particular products you are making? The assumptions you take into any situation as to the purpose of what you're doing will dictate everything you do. They decide how you do things, when you do things, etc.